Now, last month, Jessica Inaba made history when, at the age of 23, she became Britain's first black and blind female barrister.
Jessica completed her 5-year course using Braille and hopes to inspire other people to reach their goals. And she joins us now. And it's so lovely to meet you. We've been chatting all the way through the break. You are such an inspirational woman. You say you have smashed through the triple glazed glass roof.
Yes.
How difficult has that been?
It has been extremely difficult. I still can't believe I did it. But I'm glad that I have done it, and I do hope that me being able to do it will inspire and motivate others to continue to follow in my path and to do exactly the same thing.
You were determined from a little girl that this is something you wanted to do. I think at 3 years old, did you tell somebody that you wanted to get into law?
Apparently. So I personally don't remember that far back, but there is this lovely doctor, I think she's now a professor, and she specialises in my eye condition. So she used to help me and my parents out when we were younger. We used to go and see her quite a lot. But the last time I saw her was at the age of 3. And about 15 years later, she reached out to the family and invited us over to one of her lectures that she was hosting. My parents couldn't go, but I decided to go. And bear in mind, I hadn't seen her for 15 years. The first thing she says to me when I meet her is, "Oh, hey, Jess, do you still want to be a lawyer?"
Wow. So you definitely must have said it. That's incredible.
I said to her, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, you told me at 3 you wanted to be a lawyer." And I said to her, "How does a 3-year-old know what a lawyer is?"
Yeah. Well, clearly you did.
Yeah,
and look what's happened. Your parents were determined that within the family there would be no difference between the way you were treated and everybody else was treated.
Absolutely. So there's 4 of us. I'm number 2 of 4. And the rest of my siblings are not quote-unquote disabled, to use society's term. But my parents always ensured that we were brought up the same and we were treated equally. So I still had to do all the hard chores. I wasn't favoured in any way, and I also wasn't disadvantaged in any way. And it has obviously worked out in my favour now.
Well, let's talk about the degree, because it definitely wasn't plain sailing. The plan was to complete 3 years degree, 2 years, and then the masters for 1 year.
Right.
COVID got in the way of that. Lots of things got away in that. One being the fact that you spent a lot of your time creating accessible materials just so that you could do the degree before you even did the studying bit. So just explain that.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of blind people in the country, but there are different levels of blindness. So some people are registered blind but are partially sighted. Other people have light perception, colour perception, but I have no sight at all. It's really kind of hard to explain. But that's what it is. So I am a Braille user. I try not to use screen reader speech software as much because, frankly, it goes in one ear and out the other. So in order for me to process and to retain the information that I'm reading, I prefer to read it for myself. Now, because a lot of blind people are not Braille users, I think most blind people are not Braille users, it was quite hard to have all my materials adapted into Braille. So I spent most of my time producing my own study materials rather than studying myself.
Well, we had a little girl, an amazing little girl who's blind, earlier on in the week, called Betsy. And Betsy has written a children's book, and we felt it was such an eye-opener for us because Betsy brought in the book, the printed book, and the Braille book. And what was extraordinary was the weight and the size of the same printed book in Braille. It's huge. So your notes for your studies must have been gigantic.
They were insanely huge, to the point that, so 3 months into my bachelor's degree, I actually had to move out of home and get my own space because my study materials couldn't fit my bedroom in my family home. So yeah, Braille does take up a lot of space.
So you did it. I mean, you achieved the impossible. It wasn't easy, and I know without the support of your friends and family, you probably wouldn't have had the strength to keep going, because there were times when it was really tough, times when you nearly stopped, but you didn't, and you did it. Life now, being out there, being a barrister, just explain this machine that you've got near to you, because there's still further changes that need to be done within the system to make your life easier.
So what I have here is a Braille Sense Polaris Mini. It's basically a Braille tablet. I guess that's the best way of.
So this is how you take notes.
Yes, so on here I can take notes, I can read and send emails, I can browse the web. So this part here is the Braille display, so that would be my screen, and here is the keyboard. So for example, when I go into prisons and detention centres, normally to see a client you have to put all your things in lockers, and you can take in a notepad and pen to take down your notes.
Right.
I have to take this in, and because for the most part this is a foreign object to the majority of society, I have to explain why I need this item, and to explain that it won't breach the rules or whatever kind of things they set in place.
38.8% of the bar are women, 14.7% of the bar have an ethnic heritage. Add in sight impairment to that, and there's just you.
Yeah.
So what now is the next step? What do you want? You are already incredibly inspirational, and you will prove to so many people that you just pursue it no matter what, and look what you can achieve. What do you want to achieve next? What's the goal?
Well, I chose to become a barrister because I'm really passionate about helping people. I'm really passionate about touching individuals' lives and making that difference. So I hope that my job will allow me to continue doing that. I now have to try and obtain pupillage, which is like a training program all barristers have to go through before they can become independent. So that's what I have to try and do first. And then in the future, I would love to become a KC, maybe a partner in chambers, and ultimately to become a judge. That'd be amazing.
Well, I would hope that any chambers that are watching now, or any company that's watching, would think, wow, she'd be such an asset to our company. With a bit of luck, you won't struggle at all there. Thank you.
It's great to meet you. Thank you. Best of luck with everything you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.